All right, welcome guys. Happy Sunday. We have a nice 5-game slate to talk about. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. If you guys are new to the stream, how this works is we'll take a look at what we know so far, review the Vegas odds, and then I'll go team by team, talk about players I like, and we'll get to questions at the end. So let's start at the beginning of the day, and RHJ signed a second 10-day contract, and we just got news that he is starting. He's min price. I have some interest. Again, we'll talk about that. Let's see. Some of the stuff is for the early slate, so bear with me as I scroll through this. For the Raptors, Lowry, Siakam, Van Fleet, OG, all out. Gary Trent Jr. in. Let's see. I think we're still waiting on Pokusevski and Dort. I believe they're both questionable. We're still waiting on PJ and Devontae Graham news. So right now, it's hard to say. Yeah, Rondell Jefferson is starting. Lou Dort, game time decision. Yeah, him and Pokusevski. And that is where we're at. We got the starters for Toronto. So Malachi Flynn, Gary Trent Jr., Paul Watson, Boucher, and Birch. What a starting five that is. Wow. Okay. So Pedro Washington, we just get news that he is in. Devontae Graham out. Okay. That does make things interesting here for Charlotte. I wonder what they do with the starting lineup. I'm wondering if Carey starts again with PJ in. Okay, that's going to be a little tricky. We'll see what they do with the starting lineup. But, all right, so let me go to NBA. Let's take a look at these Vegas odds here. So Houston and Orlando, it's a 219 over-under. The Magic are 1-point favorites. Thunder and Raptors, a 219 over-under. The Raptors are 5.5-point favorites. Blazers and Hornets, a 216.5 over-under. Blazers are 4.5-point favorites. Kings and Mavs, a 231.5 over-under. The Mavs are 8.5-point favorites. And the late night hammer, 2.5 hours later, is Timberwolves and Clippers, a 232 over under. The Clippers are 9.5-point favorites. All right, let's start off with Portland and Charlotte. I guess real quick, though, if you guys could hit that like button, let's try to reach 100 likes before the end of the show. Again, I'll be live for another 30 minutes here. So if you guys do enjoy the content, leaving the like button is the easiest way to support me. All right, let's start off with Portland again and Charlotte. So on the Portland side, really do like CJ McCollum at 8.7K. I know the price came up. He kind of had a pedestrian game with no Damian Lillard last game, one for 44 fantasy points. Again, good matchup. Clear number one now with no Lillard. Love CJ at that price. Maybe he won't be as popular because of the price tag. I'm fine going right back to the well. In the mid-range, we have Norman Powell at 6.3. Definitely in play here. Should play big minutes. Should get a lot of shot attempts up. The issue I have with him, and it's the same issue I have with Gary Trent Jr., as, again, that Spider-Man gif, like, they're literally the same player. They just have to hit their shots to get fantasy points. If they do not hit shots, they will bust. So that is the issue with Powell. He should get more shot attempts up, though, with no Damian Lillard. So definitely in play. Maybe more of a GPP play, though, for me. Cantor and Nurkic, they're going to split the center minutes, so not a ton there. Covington's just kind of just like an all-right play. He'll play 35 minutes and probably won't kill you, but probably won't win you a GPP. Again, Melo off the bench last game, played 26 minutes. Viable, don't love it. And then we have news, again, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson is starting. I assume he's starting for Derrick Jones Jr. Now, we don't really know how many minutes he's going to play. Like, if I had to guess, I would say around 20 for Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, which at the min price in this matchup is definitely playable. Could he play more? Yes. But, again, we really haven't seen a ton, so it's hard to predict how many minutes RHA is going to play. Like, if he plays 30 minutes tonight, he's going to crush, right? So, I think he's someone that is firmly in play for value. Just a little bit unsure of the minutes, so we haven't seen him. And then Derrick Jones Jr., not going to get to him with him not starting. Simons went from basically out of the rotation to playing 30 minutes the last game. Be careful with Simons. I feel like people might chase here. I'm not saying he's out of play. I think we get somewhere around 20 to 25 minutes from him, which is a fair value, but I wouldn't expect 30 minutes and 30 fantasy points again from Simons. All right, so on the Charlotte side, let's see. I need to see the starting lineup to have a good idea of what they're going to do. All right, it's a little bit hard to say right now, so I might have to circle back. I'll start with Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier, I like either way. With Graham out, like, kind of solidifies his minutes. He should play about 40 minutes in an up-tempo game. I do like Terry Rozier a lot at his price. I think playable in both formats. Bridges with Pedro Washington now in, I think it's a slight downgrade to him. He had a big game last game. Feels a little bit pricey, Miles Bridges. Again, no Graham. McDaniels is kind of just like, meh, and just all right. Pedro Washington, again, him playing. I'm curious if there's going to be a minutes limit on him, because he missed 2 games, I think? I think he missed 2 games. If there's no limit for PJ, I actually do like him at this price. So keep an eye on that, and this is also pretty big news. Also, if he starts at the 5, I like him a lot more too. So again, it's a little bit hard to say without the possible minutes limit and starting lineup. But if they do start Carey again at the 5, I think he's a really solid value. Now, will we get 35 minutes again from him? I would say probably not. With PJ in, PJ will play more at the 5, but basically Zeller was out of the rotation. Biyombo barely played. So Carey would be a guy that if he starts, I think it would be a solid value. And then possibly some value with the Martin twins, depending on if one of those guys start. So that's my thoughts at the moment. We'll see one more time if we have that starting lineup. But yeah. So hard to say without the starters for Charlotte. Thunder and Raptors. It's the game on the Thunder side. I'm probably not going to get to anyone. I know Dort's had back-to-back great games. I'll let others chase at 7K. I'm not paying 7K for Lou Dort. Moses Brown's fine tournament play. And Pokusevski, he was probable. I expect him to play. That's one more body in this rotation. They just have a bunch of guys in the mid-range that are going to play 25 to 32 minutes. And it's just right? So with Dort, Brown, Baisley, Maladon, Pokusevski, Roby, probably one of those guys will have a solid game. I'm not going there on this slate. I just don't think it's worth it to play anyone in OKC. So I'll stay away, assuming everyone's in. On the Toronto side, so they're resting a lot of guys still. Boucher at 7.3K, I think is in play for tournaments. Don't love the price on him, but definitely GBP play. Malachi Flynn, I do like. They're really thin at the guard position. I expect another 32 to 35 minutes from him. It's a solid matchup here, so I do like Flynn below 6K. I think Gary Trent Jr., again, Spider-Man GIF with him and Norman Powell. They're the exact same player. They have to hit their threes. Norman Powell, or Gary Trent, with all these players out for Toronto, is going to get a ton of shot attempts up. And, the upside is there, but also this is possible, right? The floor is there. So I like Trent for GPPs. If you're going to ask me, for cash games, you can do it. Again, if he doesn't hit his shots, there still is a floor for Gary Trent. Kem Birch at 4.6 should play somewhere around 25 to 30 minutes. The price did come up from 3.8 to 4.6, so it's no longer a smash value, but I think he's a fair play. Does he have a ton of upside? I don't know if he's going to really break the slate, but if you landed him as the last piece in, I think he's a safer option. And the Raptors, they're starting Paul Watson again, right? They are. So, he shot 10 of 13 last game. 10 of 13, went for 44 fantasy points. We really haven't seen a ton from him. Also, seems to be a little bit reliant on the scoring. I think he is in play for value. Again, though, kind of like Simons, I feel like the ownership is going to be up after the last game. Fair play, but don't expect 44 again from Paul Watson. Off the bench, there's a couple interesting guys here. Yuta Watanabe at 3.6K probably plays somewhere around 20 to 25 minutes. He's the guy that can get some of the peripherals, right? He can get some blocks and steals. If we get around that time again, 20 to 25, I think he's a fair value. I also have some interest in Gillespie, who I think is a really sneaky value play. The reason is, again, Toronto, they don't want to win games. They're going to extend the bench. He's a guy that they signed to a second-day contract, and they seem to want to give him minutes. He's a solid point-per-minute guy. In 3 games that he's played 18-plus minutes, 20, 24, and 18 fantasy points. Again, flat min price. I kind of like him as a value option. I think he's going overlooked on this one. And then, I don't know if I can stomach a Rodney Hood. Still, the minutes are not great. Stanley Johnson might get around 20 minutes. You can do it. I would feel more comfortable, though, with Watanabe or even a Gillespie, to be honest. All right, so we got 3 games left where we at 250 viewers, guys, 60 likes. If you could come in, hit that like button. It does help me out a lot. Thank you very much. Go Nabe season, yeah. All right, so Houston and Orlando. This is interesting because Houston is really thin. They're thin. I'm curious to see. We're still waiting on that starting lineup, too, with no John Wall. But do we have that yet? No? Okay. So I do think Houston is going a little bit overlooked in the slate. I do kind of like the main guys here because they're just going to play massive minutes if this game stays close. So Christian Wood, again, in a close game, should play about 35 minutes. I'm not really scared of Orlando on the defensive end. I'm intrigued by him. I'm intrigued by Kelly Olynyk, who's been playing really well for this team and has been a solid point per minute guy. Kevin Porter Jr. with no John Wall, I think it's the biggest boost because, and he'll have the ball in his hands a lot more. He's at 6.6. Again, I like that. Tate's fine, but I would rather get to Kevin Porter Jr., Olynyk, and Wood. And then value, like possibly, does an Armani Brooks start? Maybe. If he does start, I think he's someone we could look to at the basically the flat min. If it's not him, it's probably Avery Bradley, who also playable. We know, though, Bradley is a little bit more reliant on the scoring. So, yeah, Houston's a team that depends on the starting lineup. Maybe some value, and then guys like Kevin Porter Jr., Olynyk, and Wood, I think all look pretty good. On the Magic side, there's not much I love here. So, Wendell Carter Jr. is at 6'4". Do we have Bamba confirmed out? Or is he in? He is in. Okay, so Mo Bamba is in. Will attempt to play. Well, that doesn't sound great. Either way, I think Carter Jr. hovers around the 30-minute mark. He's been solid recently, so he's in play for the mid-range. Cole Anthony, the issue is he's still not playing massive minutes, 29. Like, he can get it done in like 25 to 30, but doesn't really stand out. Okiki's at 5'2", again, somewhere around 25 to 30. Like, a lot of these Magic guys just don't, they will extend the bench as well. Gary Harris is starting. He's super reliant on scoring. Dwayne Bacon is also starting with no James Ennis. Another guy that's super reliant on the scoring, but probably plays mid-20s minutes. The issue is, again, they still have guys. They can still run like 10, 11 guys in this rotation. So, no standout plays, I would say, from the Magic. Sacramento and Dallas. This game, I think, is the highest over-under right now. Or the second behind Minnesota and the Clippers. So De'Aaron Fox at almost 10K. Maybe not a cash game play, but firmly in play for tournaments. Again, just going to play close to the entire game. It has a lot of upside. Hield, Barnes, Halliburton, just, they're just there. Whiteside, if he starts, I do kind of like. The price is way up on him, but he's still, again, a great point per minute guy. If he starts, I think we get at least 20, maybe upside of close to the 30-minute range. So I do still have some interest in Whiteside, especially if he starts. Not much else here for Sacramento. I'm probably not going to get to anyone else. On the Dallas side, it's the top two guys, and that's it. I think both look really good. In an up-tempo matchup here against the Sacramento Kings, who I love targeting players against. Luka, again, hasn't been great recently, but you could see a massive game from him. I even have some interest in Porzingis. Right now, the minutes are huge on him, too. Like, he's playing 35-ish minutes in a close game. The front court, like, he should be able to have his way against the Sacramento Kings front court. So I like both Luka and Porzingis a good amount here, and I'm just not touching the value. Lastly, Minnesota and the Clippers. So no real priority plays here for the Timberwolves. Cat, tournament play, sure. Edwards, tournament play, sure. The issue is they're extending the bench a little bit more recently. So like a guy like Hernan Gomez has played over 20 minutes in back-to-back games. You want to get a risky value play. Also, Jared Vanderbilt, quietly, 21, 19, and 22 minutes the last 3 games. This 22 was in a close game. 28, 22, and 33 fantasy points for Jared Vanderbilt. Again, will Minnesota continue to extend this bench? I'm not sure, but a couple guys I think you can at least look to in Hernan Gomez and Vanderbilt if you want to get off chalky value plays. And finally, the LA Clippers. So it really just depends right now on Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi Leonard is out, I really like Paul George. I think he's one of the top spend-ups of the slate. Would play probably close to 40 minutes in a great matchup and would be the clear number one. And then a couple other guys I think are in play in the mid-range. Reggie, Marcus Morris. Both should play about 35 minutes. No priority plays, though, there. If Kawhi Leonard's in, then there's really nothing I love. I think Kawhi and Paul George are definitely in play at the top. But, yeah, that's all I got. So, all right. What do we have here for any updates? Still nothing. We should get some starters soon. All right, guys. Feel free to leave some questions in here. Yeah, I think Luka and Porzingis look really good. He did foul. That is true. But previous games, let's see. So that game was close. Yeah, so maybe, and the other games were blowouts here. Yeah, so that's okay. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, so Towns did foul out the last game, so that's probably why Vanderbilt got extended a bit. But that's a good point. Very good point. Okay, so you're looking for 4,100 small forward. Possibly Cody Martin if he starts. If not, you probably go with a guy like Dwayne Bacon. Like, I don't love playing Dwayne Bacon, but I think we get around 25, 30 minutes from him. Yeah, so I think that's where I go. Okay, so small forward, 5,100 and under. Well, I don't really want to play Batum. I don't really want to play Kenrich Williams unless a couple of those guys to the Thunder are out. It's probably a Martin twin if one of those start. If not, I would rebuild because I don't really want to play Hardaway either. Stars only come, yeah. Yeah, Olynyk or Whiteside? I think Olynyk right now is because we don't have the starters for Whiteside. I think I only play Whiteside if he starts. I don't really want to play Damian Jones. No on Bembry. The last game Bembry was in, I think he only played like 15 minutes. Yeah, he played 13 minutes. So, yeah. And also, he's kind of a little bit banged up. I'm not going to Bembry. Rondo is 4-1. Yeah. So, I got to tilt about it a little bit, right? I take a shot at him that one slate when literally everyone is out for the Clippers. He only plays 17 minutes. They're close to full health against Philly, and he plays 26 minutes. Like, what is that? What is that? Rozier McCollum? Ooh. My answer is both. You play both. Porter or Flynn? Kevin Porter Jr. over Malachi Flynn. Rozier and McCollum. Would you play Luka and Porzingis? You can. You can do it. I mean, they're in the best spot for sure. Yeah, value. I need to see starters. I need to see starting lineups. So hard to say right now. Again, depends. I need to see some starters. Like, it really does. Like, Hornets starting lineup, whether or not Vernon Carey starts. Right? There's a lot of stuff that is I need to wait for some starters. Goat Nabe season. I think he's in play off the bench. Yeah, I think we get around 20 to 25 minutes from him. A Baisley or Marcus Morris? I'll go Marcus Morris right now. Paul George or Porzingis? Ooh, I mean, Paul George is no Kawhi. If you have Paul George though, and Kawhi gets ruled in, just pivot to Porzingis. Melo's all right. Yeah, he's just kind of like, he'll play 25 minutes of 4.2 off the bench. He can get hot. Birch or Whiteside, if you can get to him. Marcus Morris or Barnes. I mean, if there's no Kawhi, I'll probably lean towards Marcus Morris. Like, Harrison Barnes will play minutes, that you know. It's just like the price doesn't really stand out there. Oh yeah, Porter or Powell. I would rather play Kevin Porter Jr. And the reason is he does more of the peripherals. Norman Powell more reliant on the scoring. Yeah, I think Rozier and McCollum look a little bit better point per dollar than Fox, right? Both those guys are in the 8K range. Fox is almost at 10K. Rozier is going to be the clear number one for Charlotte. McCollum's going to be the clear number one for Portland. Both should play about 40 minutes. I just think they look slightly better point per dollar plays. Wood or Porzingis? Give me Porzingis. Yeah, Harrison Barnes a little pricey for me. Luka, Fox, McCollum, and Rozier. Probably Luka, McCollum, and Rozier. Zubac. My issue with Zubac is going up. I don't like targeting players against aggressive offensive centers. Like, there's a rule, like, I don't really like playing centers against Embiid unless they're like min price. I don't really like targeting centers against Karl-Anthony Towns either because of foul trouble risk. So you can go there, but just a little bit worried he gets in some foul trouble. Depends. If one of the Martin twins start, I'll probably prefer that Martin twin to Watanabe. Cat or Luka for cash. Gary Trent or Norman Powell. Again, you got the Spider-Man gif. Give me Norman Powell though. Kawhi out. He's still questionable. Yep, I'll go Porzingis over Wood. I like both though. Trent a lock. Trent's in play for sure. Be careful though if he's going to be super popular. You could still see a somewhat floor game. Like, don't get me wrong. He's going to shoot the ball a ton. He'll probably shoot the ball close to 20 times. The upside is clearly there if he hits his shots. The floor is also there too. So I don't like seeing players like Trent on the slate, especially because I know he's going to be popular. And like if he has a good shooting game, I'm probably going to lose, right? So I just hate these type of players that determine the slate whether or not they have a good shooting game. For GPPs, like for cash games, you can safely avoid a player like that. for tournaments, like, it's just like he's got 40 plus fantasy point upside if he hits his shots, but he's also got like a floor of like 10. Rozier, Simons, Edwards. Yeah, I think it's a little bit too contrarian for my liking. I don't think there's one priority play for Toronto. I think for me, like, I would rather play Flynn over Gary Trent Jr. That's just the way I play DFS, though. I prioritize the peripheral stats. I would rather have guys that can have a floor of assists and rebounds, and when they do have a good shooting game, they can have a really nice game, right? But the floor is there, as opposed to a guy that literally has to hit his shots to get fancy points. If he doesn't, he will kill you. Now, I do agree. I think Gary Trent Jr. does have more upside than Flynn, but I just like the floor better with Flynn than Trent. So, like, I personally rather have Flynn over Trent. Boucher's always in play for tournaments, you know that. Birch is just kind of just like, all right. There's no priority plays. Watson, don't expect 40 again from him. Watanabe, Gillespie, viable off the bench. But yeah, there's no priority plays for me. Don't play Cousins, no. Birch is a little pricey. I think you can go there. I think we get 25 to 30 minutes. If Kawhi's out, Paul George or Luka, Paul George. PJ or Covington, I need to see the starters for the Hornets. I also need to see if PJ is going to be on a minutes limit since he's missed the last couple games. So those two pieces of news are pretty big for PJ Washington. I will say if PJ Washington starts the 5 and there's no minutes limit, give me PJ over Covington. Melo or Bacon? I guess Bacon since he's starting. Nah, I wouldn't play Boogie. Flynn, McCollum, Trent, RHJ, Gillespie. Yeah, I think that's a good lineup. Value center. So I think Kem Birch is a safe play at 4.6. Don't love the price, but I think he's a safer option. I think Carey, if he starts, is a good value center. And then I kind of like Gillespie for a GPP play at that price. And also, RJ is starting. So RJ is starting at mid price. Like, I think he's viable too. Yeah, I don't know. I need to see starters. Avery Bradley for value. If he starts, yeah. Whoever starts as that fifth piece for Houston, whether it be him or Amar'e Brooks, I think it's one of those two guys is for sure playable. McCollum, KBJ, Luka, Hollis, Jefferson. Okay, yeah, I'm good with it. Gillespie, Stanley Johnson, or Bembry. Of those three, I would rather play Gillespie. Just because he has a higher floor, I think, as a big that should get around 20 minutes. Thoughts on CJ, Terry Rozier, Luka, RHJ, Carey? Yeah, I like that for tournaments a lot. Just say no to PJ. Yeah, again, depends on what happens there with the starters. I'm not sure. If Kawhi's missed the last 4 games or so. Luka or Paul George? Paul George if I knew Kawhi was out. But right now we don't have that news, and that's 2.5 hours later, right? So like I think the safer one would be to go to Luka Doncic there. I think Marcus Morris is like a solid play. Like I don't love him if Kawhi's out. Him and Reggie are just like, yeah, you can go there. Paul George would be the priority for sure. Nurkic or Whiteside? Whiteside if he starts. Small forward is weak. Yeah, it is pretty weak. Luka at the top. Love Luka at the top. You have some scoring dependent guys that have upside though, like Powell and Gary Trent Jr. I think both those guys have a good amount of upside. And then value, right? You can go to Bacon, possibly the Martin twins if one of those guys start. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, it is a bit of an ugly position. Yeah, I do like RHJ. I do. I'm not sure how many minutes he plays though. Like I'm worried he only plays 15 minutes. That's a concern. 5,700 for utility. So I will say if you're going for the upside, it's Gary Trent. Again, he has maybe a lower floor. Some other guys around him. You know, I do like PJ if he starts at the 5. So PJ if not, if he starts, right? You have Whiteside if he starts. I think looks pretty solid. So you got some other options there. Can I play CJ, Powell, and RJ together? Yeah, I don't see why not. I like Luka and Porzingis today. It's a great matchup. Both should play 35 plus. I like them both. assuming Kawhi's out. I mean, it's tough. That late game is tough. I think for cash games, maybe you avoid it because if Kawhi Leonard is in, then Paul George is like not that good of a play. And it's like for cash games, you just want to build the floor. So you probably go to like Luka or like CJ or maybe like a Rozier for cash game spend up. So yeah, I think cash games maybe you just avoid the situation. Just because it's risky with there being no other game and 2.5 hour delay. Bazley, McDaniels, Jayshawn Tate, Trent, Barnes, or Powell. I mean, I think the upside wise is it's either Trent or Powell. Again, they have to hit their shots though. KPJ or Olynyk close. I'll go KPJ. What player is going to? It's probably my whole lineup. Gillespie or Goat Nabe. Give me Gillespie. Dort, if he starts, he can go there, but I'm not. I feel like that's kind of chasing. Armani Brooks is starting. Okay, so yeah, I think Armani Brooks is now a pretty good value play. I do. He's starting at the 2, not the 1, but like, hey, he's been hovering around like 20-ish minutes, right? 21 minutes the last game. I think you can go there. The issue is he's only point guard eligible, which does kind of suck because there's a lot of good point guard plays. But yeah, you can use Brooks for sure. Don't really like Avery Bradley as much now with him coming off the bench. I would rather play Brooks over Simons. I think they're pretty similar plays. But yeah, give me Brooks. Yeah, it just depends on starters, right? We're still waiting on some starting lineup news for like I'll go to Carey if he starts, but we don't know that yet. I think, again, Birch is like a fine center play. Power forward for 4,600. All right, this will be the last one, guys. Then I have to call it because I got to update some stuff for Patreon with this news. But you said, all right, 4,600 for power forward. Well, there's not a ton of love here. It'd probably be Melo, right? Like, Melo should play about 25 minutes off the bench. He'll get shot attempts up. Yeah, I think you go Melo there. But, all right, let me refresh one more time, make sure we have everything, and then I will call it a stream. So I appreciate you guys coming to check it out on a Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll be back here tomorrow. So good luck to you guys. Again, I'll see you back here tomorrow for another live stream.